Hello, YouTube. Hello, listeners. We're back today on this September 11th, or rather 11th of September, 2021, 20 years since the World Trade Centers fell in this system that we live in, which recognizes anniversaries every year. Michael, welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Brett. Hello, dear listeners. I'm already wondering which kind of greeting Brett will use today. So usually I take it for hello and welcome. And so that I like to add to this session that I am really sorry that I have to disappoint you. I thought we were going into another path, another approach in science in your religion, but I am sorry for being stuck with Greece once again, and I hope for the last part 8 more scientific calls, because I remember there was something I had mentioned in German 2 years ago when I was going into Egypt. And we know from one of the former sessions about the PGM, there was some mingling or big mingling in Greece. And the background actually is that Greece people or Greece science or what else you would like to say. So Greece has attributed that they have collected all the so-called knowledge of the former empire, speaking of Babylon and Medo-Persia, and together with Egypt. And then they have collected that and sorted it out. And I think that's more likely the purpose of the big library in Alexandria, because Alexandria, of course, has been named after Alexander the Great. And therefore, I was reminded, and I have inserted here something which I think it is interesting to know. It is not absolutely necessary, but it's interesting to know that there is much more than medicine when it comes down to Greece. So more scientific cults. Why do I mention cults? Well, we know that the Bible speaks of the worldly science as falsely so called, that we will be blinded with science, the confusing by the use of big words or complex explanations. And when it comes down to medicine, we have discovered that all is relating to ancient pagan goddesses. So, we know about the Aesculap and Hygeia and the oath, etc., etc. And even into our ancient, modern days, it has been forwarded since the ancient times and since the Middle Age. So this is actually a mocking of a very famous picture of Michelangelo called The Creation of Adam. And now God, on the right side, of course, is wearing a glove. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? As if God was an ordinary person, huh? Yeah, this is quite recent. No? This was May 2021. This is quite recent. Okay, and therefore I have seen that there is a timeline of medicine and medical technology. And to be quite frankly, I don't think that it is necessary to go in everything, but maybe some big points here. During the Stone Age, early doctors used very primitive form of herbal medicine. Then comes Ayurveda. And then, as I have mentioned in the last session here, Egyptian inscription speaks of Iri at eye doctor of the palace. So that means that the Egyptians were far more experienced or far older than the description of Aesculapius in 1250. Yeah, 1250 compared to 2500. 2500 is twice the age. And so many we're speaking about what? Bread, medicine, yeah? Magic. Oh, magic pops up. Magic pops up once again. In this old papyri, you see, magic was a part of it, and we all know that pharmakeia means sorcery and witchcraft. So we have an Egyptian medical text and the oldest known surgery treatise, No True Surgery, No Magic, from the 1500 before Christ. And then 1250, out of a sudden, Asclepius pops up. And we have examined that there is no actual proof of this so-called guy, as well as, of course, there is no proof because the god has never existed. Then we have the Pandora myth, a life of its own but divine origin. Then we have some legends, etc., etc. Then we have the Cnidos medical school. Then we have Darius the First of Medo-Persia. And then we are approaching the Greek age of Sophocles and Hippocrates of Kos, which oath we know is in modern times a little bit modified, but still in use. But of course, it's to no use because it is not legally bounding. So nobody will be condemned if he breaks that so-called oath. So the medicine after Hippocrates is a medicine which consists, of course, of mixed medicine knowledge or science of Egypt and Greece, and later on, of course, in Rome, because the standard or the rules and the laws will be set up by the world empire. And as we know from the metal man in Daniel, the Greek empire followed the Medo-Persian Empire, but the Roman Empire followed the Greek Empire. And at the time of the birth of Jesus Christ, the Roman Empire was already in power. So from then on, you see all the names of these Latin or Roman guys, Celsus, Cornelius, yeah, etc., etc. And I don't want to bother you with any boring facts or so. There are other websites who can name any things. But I have found an artifact, or I have found a special thing that we will handle in 2 or 3 sessions from now, that this medicine then took over to be monastery medicine, so that many people behind closed doors in a monastery, they have the knowledge or the science of herbs and therefore of medicine. And I think it is also depicted here in with some names. And then also some Arabian names were mentioned, etc., etc. I really apologize, not for the script, but for my slow computer, because my mouse is not reacting the way that I want it to be, but nevertheless. And then you know that there is the Middle Age, and then comes, of course, the French people, the Italian people, and yeah, especially the Germans also. And we will come to this in a few sessions later with Paracelsus and the like. And even in 5053, Miguel Serveto describes the circulation of blood through the lungs. We have spoken about that last time. He is accused, or he was accused, of heresy and burned at the stake. Yeah, you see that it is especially if you don't follow the rules of the actual scientific community, you will be burned at the stake, literally or figuratively. I don't know. You will be excluded. You're not part of.
Perhaps, Michael, they're not telling us something here about the religious beliefs of this Miguel.
Yeah, we have spoken about last time. I remember. You pointed it out that he was a heretic, a so-called heretic. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
sure. Mm-hmm. So yeah, right here it says accused of heresy. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in 1543, an interesting date, huh? 1543. It's around the time that the Jesuits were founded, and around the time that Luther was having the last issue, the last hand translation of the Bible in 1545. And so this Andreas Vesalius publishes the Fabrica Corporis Humani, which corrects Greek medical errors and revolutionized European medicine. What does that tell you? That does tell you that the Greeks, or the Greek medicine, which were thought to be correct for more than 1,000 years, had errors. What does that tell to the current situation? That people claim, oh, I got the absolute truth. I would say that's very dangerous. And so in 1701, Giacomo Pilarini gives the first smallpox inoculations in Europe, way before Mr. Jenner. Jacob Pilarini. a Venetian physician. Once again, why Italian guy? I say, in Italian, they got a bunch of excellent universities, Brett. And almost all of them are being led through the Roman Catholic Church.
Oh, so no surprise. I mean, take the word universal, for instance. You know, it means Catholic. So there you go. Interchangeable.
You could really make a bet that in the Vatican archives, there is so much knowledge which is not handed over to the general public.
Oh, for good reason. For good reason, Mike.
Yeah.
It's like that old saying from that movie, you can't handle the truth. Yeah, well, you can, but they don't want you to. So got to create some ideologies to make it so.
If you look up the Wikipedia explanation of the smallpox and of vaccination in general, you will be told that was Mr. Edward Jenner. But there was a guy who did it 50 years before Mr. Jenner was even born, not with the smallpox. And not vaccination, because vacca means cow, but Mr. Jenner allegedly did take the smallpox from the cow, but didn't, because in the majority of cases he did take it from the horse. So it must not be a vaccination, but equivation or equus Latin means horse. So that's equus is Latin means horse. Yeah. So and vacca is Latin and means cow. Yeah. So vaccination is incorrect. So it starts with a lie, of course. What did you expect? But we have to save that until one of the later sessions. Yeah, you see that here in the 1800s, in the so-called age of knowledge and science, so many things were popping out. Robert Koch, Louis Pasteur, all the things. Yeah, Ignaz Semmelweis was the guy who was murdered in the mental asylum. He was into hygiene, that people should wash their hands after they have treated or touched a corpse before they get to the mother of a newborn. So do you need an expert for that? Or would it be just general thinking? That I don't think you need an expert for that. Yeah, but I think that's also the problem nowadays, that people needs for everything, they needed an expert. They don't have a functioning brain to sort out things on a regular approach. I have to look it up. What's it in English? I apologize. Second computer is not running. I have a mess on my desktop because I had to prepare for this evening things also. So let's get it on. Let's say, what is it? No, not in this language. Oh my, this today I could have been prepared much better, but due to lack of time, what's that in English? I hate when that happens. Common sense, yes, common sense, yeah, common sense or horse sense. So common sense, that's what governments don't want you to have or to establish. Yeah, don't have any common sense. Just obey and trust us. We are doing our best, and you will be safe. You will be healthy, or what else? You don't have any common sense. You need for everything, and on this so-called planet, you need an expert. Yeah? Because people don't have any common sense. Yeah, that's what actually the government is treating you like a little child.
Of course, they have to in order to gain your quote-unquote trust. They really want everyone to trust them because they're the experts. Yeah, right. We know where that leads to, don't we, Michael?
Yeah, it's straight down the road to tyranny.
Exactly. And what is a beast other than a tyrannical government? You know, I made the mistake some sessions ago about saying that beast is the state. No, that's wrong. The beast is a tyrannical form of government that takes over the state. Because when you have a state, that obeys the laws of God and treats them with respect, then you have a state that is abiding in the truth of our Lord and Savior. That is what the purpose of the Bible is all about. But when you have a government that takes over and wants to be worshipped as God, just like the Pope, then we have a problem. That's where we're at today, Michael, as far as I see it.
This is a Rosetta Stone on display in the British Museum. What's a Rosetta Stone? It's a stele inscribed with 3 versions of decree issued in Memphis in Egypt, not Elvis Presley in Memphis, but Memphis in Egypt in 196 before Christ, during the Ptolemaic dynasty on behalf of King Ptolemy V Epiphanes. In ancient Egyptian, using hieroglyphs and demotic scripts respectively, while the bottom is in ancient Greek. The decree has a minor differences between 3 versions, making the Rosetta Stone the key to deciphering the Egyptian scripts. So it's like a translating algorithm. Yeah. Okay. So I just want to point it out that people had some knowledge quite 200 years before. So the people were not dumb. The people were not dumb. And this Rosetta Stone and this deciphering of the Egyptian scripts is very necessary to decipher also occult texts, like the PGM that we have handled a few sessions before. So this would be the guy to look upon. This is Archimedes. Archimedes of Syracuse. Of course, he's a Greek, because we are still in the Greek Empire. Yeah, he lived 287 to 212 to 75 years approximately in Syracuse, Sicily, Magna Graecia. So that means the Greater Greece. I don't know why this program is marking everything in color here. I really don't know. Must be some trick of my program. I really don't know. He was in the fields of mathematics, physics, engineering, astronomy, and mechanics. The Archimede of Syracuse in ancient Greek was a Greek mathematician, physicist, engineer, astronomer, and inventor. And now that sentence got me, Brad. Although few details of his lives are unknown. I said, no, not again. Can you imagine? And every time some leading figure of medicine or science is popping up, not much is known about him. How likely is that? Considered to be the greatest mathematician of ancient history and one of the greatest of all time. Yeah, and then few details of his life are known. I smell a legend here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I smell a legend here. Yeah, so he's the one who apparently came up with the mathematics and mathematics laws, etc. Unlike
Michael, could it possibly be that they are just using him as a what should we call it, quote unquote, inventor or something that never was in existence, just because they need to pull this Babylonian history back and kind of wipe it clean by giving him a name or something, a modern name, a new discovery or something, so they can utilize some esoteric purposes?
Yeah, so that's for the session. That was the outcome of the session. Thank you very much. And see you next time.
Oh, no.
No, but actually, I have the same train of thoughts. I have the same. It's like Socrates, which was used by Plato, if he ever existed, etc., etc. You see, they don't want to commit that the knowledge was being handed over from the previous kingdom, from the metal man image. So they come up with inventions of their own. Oh, there was a smart guy. He can only come out of Greece because we are the smartest people on the earth. Like that.
Oh, yeah, that works pretty good. Yeah, if you buy the lie, you just follow right in.
Yeah. Yeah, you see that not much of him is known. Yeah. So once again, few details of his life are known, but he is considered to be the greatest mathematician of ancient history and one of the greatest of all time. Sorry. How many details are known of Jesus Christ? How many details are known of Paul? How many details are known of Herod? And few details are known of a guy who lived 200 years before that, or 250. Don't want to be nitpicking here, but I have a hard time believing that that famous guy, that outstanding scientist of the ancient times, has only few details exposed to the general public.
Oh, hey, can we make a modern example of this? Mm-hmm. How about Albert Einstein? Mm-hmm. With his quote-unquote theory of relativity.
Yeah, that's another story for a later session, actually. But the problem is that Albert Einstein was in existence. You see, we have photos of him, we have a birth certificate, we have numerous witnesses, we have certificates, etc. But what do we have from Archimedes of Syracuse? But his formulas. Except his formulas.
But Michael, it's just an example of how to, have someone take the place, this so-called religion of science, take the place of the quote-unquote inventor or the discovery of this new principle and applying that into modern life, like this example. I don't know any other way to say it, Michael.
We know that Alexander the Great started out with the idea to establish and to found Alexandria. And Alexandria bore the famous, world famous, however, library with all the knowledge. All the knowledge from, not only from the Greek, but from the Egypt and from the Medo-Persians, from the Magi, from the Babylonian, from the...
Yeah, it's the occultic center of the world, yeah, at that time.
Yeah, you see, unlike his inventions, the mathematical writings of Archimedes were little known in antiquity. Oh, how come? Maybe they were sorted out later and were attributed to him. Later. Because mathematicians from who? Alexandria read and quoted him, but the first comprehensive compilation was not made until 530 AD by Isidore of Miletus in Byzantine Constantinople. I smell something.
It doesn't smell good, does it?
It doesn't smell good when it's Constantinople, and it doesn't smell good when they needed more than around 800 years to attribute the things. I have a hard time believing it, especially when we have learned in Medo-Persian sessions, Brett, that Alexander the Great was being taught by the Magi. So it is more than likely that the mathematicians also were being taught by the so-called learned, professed or scientific people from the Medo-Persians, because Greece had just taken over. So of course it's a mingling, it's not attributed to one especially gifted man of the ancient times where very little details are known for his life, because it could be, or it could be the other way around. So we cannot go into this because we don't know what is truth. It's just a legend. And attributed to somebody just means that there was some guy called Archimedes. But maybe Archimedes is a name for anyone else, or maybe it's a name of somebody who was working in the library. So we do not know. We cannot test. We cannot prove that. Actually, there are many things very unknown to us, and you only got 1 or 2 or 3 skilled historians at the time And if you don't have a consent, then it's very unlikely that things actually turn out the way that Wikipedia tells you. And of course, I cannot go into every books for a professional study. It would be absolutely futile to go into Wikipedia. Nobody quotes Wikipedia because Wikipedia is a free encyclopedia without any proof, and everybody, so to say, can write in it, but that's untrue. But it is not being sorted out in the line of verification that you got several quotes here, and sometimes they are not in line. Yeah. So the relatively few copies of Archimedes that survived through the Middle Ages were an influential source of ideas for scientists during the Renaissance and again in the 17th century, while the discovery in 1906 of previously unknown works by Archimedes in the Archimedes palimpsest has provided new insights into how he obtained mathematical results. And that's the same thing of many, many scrolls who were then published out of the blue. Could be done by accident, could be done on purpose. We don't know. But that's not the point for that session here. I just want to have another point mentioning here. The date of birth is based on a statement by the Byzantine Greek historian John Tzetzes that Archimedes lived for 75 years. So that is one source. One. Uno. It is unknown, for instance, whether he had married or had children or if he ever visited Alexandria, Egypt during his youth. So can you that's been said here. So can you really imagine what that means? Nothing is quite sure in this regard. The standard versions of the life of Archimedes were written long after his death by Greek and Roman historians. Yeah, happy birthday. And what shall I say? The earliest reference occurs in the Histories by Polybius, written about 70 years after his death. It sheds little light on Archimedes as a person. I smell something, and focuses on the war machine that he is said to have built. He is said to have built in order to defend the city from the Romans. He is said to be. Okay, so let's skip it here. I'm really sick of my computer also. I don't know why he's marking everything. We have to restart after the session my program. But Cicero also mentions Archimedes in some words, some of his works, etc. You can do your own research on that. There are many inventions and many principles attributed to Archimedes until now, so many things seem to be true. But that's not my point I would like to make. My point is that once again, there is uncertainty about a certain man who was so smart or outsmarted any others people, and I'm not sure if everything is correct here. And we have also to take into consideration that at the time the Greek Empire was the world empire, so of course they had every means and they had every source and every money, every to state that one of their pupils, one of the inhabitants, was the smartest guy around, something like that. Yeah. Pappus of Alexandria once again stated that Archimedes has written a manuscript, which is now lost, on the construction of this mechanism titled on sphere making. No? You see, written a manuscript which is now lost. Once again, you have no proof of so less truth. So let's skip it. I'd just like to point out that I find the works and the outcome find it very interesting. For me, also mathematics prove that there is a divine origin of the universe because everything is in order. So there is no confusion here. Yeah, there are principles here applied to something, and you can easily calculate many things with the help of mathematics. So that means that mathematics is also, for me, in my humble opinion, it's a tool to prove the existence of God, because we see that everything here is in harmonic. Yeah. So on this earth, it is absolutely everything is in balance. So you see the wildlife, you see nature.
Yeah, that's
There
right.
is no confusion.
That's right.
Oh, there was something about the Stanford University. The Fields Medal carries a portrait of Archimedes, so that might be a hint that there was somebody in existence. But you see, everything can also be forged or faked in this day and age. Yeah. Galileo praised Archimedes many times, referring to him as a superhuman, and as my master. Oh, great. So that Galileo was no Christian, huh? Interesting to know for a later session. Huygens remarked, I think Archimedes is comparable to no one. Leibniz says he who understands Archimedes and Apollonius will admire less the achievements of the foremost men of later times, etc., etc. Yeah. And Moritz Kantor, who studied under him in the University of Göttingen in Germany, reported that he once remarked in conversation that there had been only 3 epoch-making mathematicians, Archimedes, Newton, and Eisenstein. Eisenstein, interesting. So we will skip here Mr. Archimedes, although he's got a crater on the moon. Just wanted to point it out how sometimes it's very dubious that there is so little known about a world-famous man which was, in my knowledge, one of the greatest mathematicians of all times. So then let's hear it for another point in that field of Greece. It's called Pythagoreanism. Yeah, happy birthday on to that Pythagoreanism. In Raphael's fresco, the School of Athens. So you see, there is somebody who was learning. Pythagoras is shown writing a book as a young man presents him with a tablet. So they had tablets, but not without current, showing a diagrammic representation of a lyre above a drawing of the sacred tetractics. What are tetractics? So tetractics is a triangular figure consisting of 10 points arranged in 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. In points in each row, the geometrical representation of the 4th triangular number. As a mystical symbol, it was very important to the secret worship of Pythagoreanism. Oh, secret worshipping? Anyone? Interesting. And that resembles a pyramid. Interesting. At least I hope.
Not public worship, but secret worship.
Secret worship, yes. Pythagoreanism originated in the 6th century before Christ, based on the teachings and beliefs held by Pythagoras and his followers, the Pythagoreans. Pythagoras, so his followers, he means he was a cult figure. Pythagoras established the first Pythagorean community in Italy. In Italy? In 6th century in Italy? That was the time when the Medo-Persians were the rulers of the world. Aha, so there were smart people already in Italy. Early Pythagorean communities spread throughout the Magna Graecia, so the Greater Greece. And therefore I made the remark that, we should go to Pythagoras. I don't know why I did know already that Pythagoras, that the script will crash. Pythagoras of Samos was an ancient Ionian Greek philosopher and eponymous founder of this Pythagoreanism. His political and religious teachings, alarm bell, were well known in Magna Graecia and influenced the philosophies of Plato, Aristotle, and through them Western philosophy. Alarm bell. Knowledge of his life is clouded by legend, once again, making it absolutely likely to suggest that these people or names were attributed to something or somebody to distract the people from the fact that the real knowledge was an occult knowledge handed over by the secret guys in the secret communities behind closed doors. So maybe, just maybe, Pythagoras and Socrates and Archimedes, they were all inventions of people. Oh yeah, here's a coin. If you are the ruler of the country, you can print coins, but also that is no proof. Knowledge of his life, of Pythagoras, is clouded by legend, but he appears to have been the son of... Oh. Can you imagine these world-class scientists, men with knowledge? They all are being clouded by legends. It has been said, and maybe not. And you see that it's absolutely futile to rely on any of the claims when it starts with that this life is clouded by legend. If his life is clouded by legend, and what does that tell you about the claims that he was the inventor of something? I think that also is clouded by legend. In my humble opinion, the only people who really have the truth are the high priest and scribes. If you call him the magi or not, it doesn't matter. But these people had the knowledge and they were giving it to the people step by step, sheet by sheet, formula by formula. But it has been attributed, and maybe some of the priests were handing it over, and maybe some of their priests called themselves Pythagoras or Socrates or what else. Because now, since more than 38 sessions, I say that is very likely because the science comes from religion. So what should convince me to think that Pythagoras was just an ordinary man coming from a family of farmers? Because usually the usual farmer could not write or read. So these people are all mockeries or legends or what else. You don't have to go into the people because you see that if there is legend, it means they did not exist, at least not in the way that they are telling us. The teaching most securely identified with Pythagoras is metempsychosis, or the transmigration of souls. That is a concept which is very, very modern these days, which holds that every soul is immortal. That's for the things that Brett had told me before the session.
Yeah, New Age mysticism, Michael.
Yeah, upon death enters into a new body. In the Hinduistic belief system, some of them they take the cows as holy because they think they will be reborn in an animal. I think that's a downgrade. It's not an upgrade then, huh? That's a downgrade. They are beasts. Yeah, but to each his own, huh? He may also have devised the doctrine of musica universalis, which holds that the planets have, according to mathematical equations, and this resonate to produce an inaudible symphony of music. Oh, there are also people who are claiming that the Earth has a frequency, but I think we can prove that it has no frequency. Because the Earth is no planet. Scholars debate whether Pythagoras developed the numerologically and musical teachings attributed to him, or if those teachings were developed by his later followers. You see? Legend. Once again, debate, legend, uncertain, clouded by legend. He was credited with many mathematical and scientific discoveries, including the theorem and tuning and the 5 regular solids, the theory of proportions, the sphericity of the Earth, and the identity of the morning and evening stars as the planet Venus. Interesting. Yeah, it was said, you see, rumor has it is legendary, and it is clouded by legend that he was the first man to call himself a philosopher, so to speak, a lover of wisdom. Can you imagine? You can throw this entire article in the trash can and burn it, because you see that it's also surrounded by mysticism. He continued to be regarded as a great philosopher, or you see, we can make it worse. We only have to read the article. Pythagoras influenced Plato, whose dialogues, especially his Timaeus, exhibit Pythagorean teachings. Pythagorean ideas on mathematical perfection also impacted ancient Greek arts. His teachings underwent a major revival in the 1st century BC among Middle Platonists, coinciding with the rise of Neo-Pythagoreanism. Pythagoras continued to be regarded as a great philosopher through the Middle Ages, and his philosophy had a major impact on scientists such as Nicolaus Copernicus, Johannes Kepler, and Isaac Newton. We are speaking of people who are busy with astronomics. Pythagorean symbolism was used throughout early modern European esotericism, and his teachings are portrayed in Ovid's Metamorphoses, influenced the modern vegetarian movement.
Oh, that's a very interesting sentence, Michael. European esotericism. What's that? Ancient. Oh, Kabbalah. Wow.
As if we hadn't suggested.
Wow, like the thumbnail for
Yeah.
Is Science the New Religion?
Yeah.
Looks very close.
Yeah.
Actually, a little
reminds
different.
me every time I see the Kabbalistic tree, it reminds me of a juggler. I can't help it. It reminds me of somebody who was juggling all the balls around.
Oh, juggler. Oh, yes, juggling. Yeah. Not our friend Geert Glissman here in Belgium. No.
But therefore
Don't
I know
get
the
us
world. Confused here. Therefore, I know the world. Yeah, you see. Teachings numerology. That's a simple pagan construct. Yeah. So it is everything mixed up here. It's philosophy, it's science, it's psychology, esotericism, etc. No authentic.
Nasty bunch of garbage, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is. I mean, you can't just go around in public talking about these things without, what can we say? Well, let's be perfectly frank here. Jesus said that his kingdom is not of this world. So wouldn't it make sense that his gospel also not be of this world? And people cannot comprehend the gospel when they are influenced by the teachings and doctrines of this Pythagoras now, can they?
It's exchangeable. You see, the thing is, if you write sentences with no authentic writing of Pythagoras have survived, as if they ever existed, and almost nothing is known for certain about his life.
Yeah? Could it be it was planned that way? Gee, I wonder.
Yeah, you see that's so hilarious that people claim to Christians, there is no proof that Jesus Christ was God. You see, there is so much writing about Jesus Christ. Yeah, there are so many people who are actually proving that Jesus Christ did exist. Yeah, and nothing will be doubted about Socrates, about Archimedes, about Pythagoras. They take it for granted because they are in the spirit of Antichrist.
There we go.
So
what is Antichrist? Antichrist is defined right in the Bible.
Yeah, they're eating everything that's been fed. They're just being, don't know how to say it. Yeah, cattle.
Yeah, let's go there really quick, just so everyone knows. It's in 1 John chapter 4, verse 3. And every spirit that confesseth not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist. It's as simple as that. It's just so incredibly simple. So, 1 John chapter 4, verse 3. People can look that up.
Yeah.
And, memorize it.
Yeah, we don't have to go into this. You see that it absolutely does not make any sense. Yeah? Pythagoras as a clever charlatan and blah, blah, blah. Yeah? Yeah. The Athenian rhetorical Isocrates was the first to describe Pythagoras as having visited Egypt. If he didn't exist, he could not have visited Egypt. You see, one liar is backing up the other liar. I have to skip it here because you see that.
Well, when you're dealing with rhetoricians, learned in the trade of rhetoric, that should ring some bells today, even.
Pythagoras' death and disputes about his teaching led to the development of two philosophical traditions, divide and conquer, within Pythagoreanism. The acousmatikoi were superseded in the 4th century as a significant Mendicant school of philosophy by the Cynics. The Cynicism philosophy were absorbed in the Platonic school in the 4th century before Christ. Are you mixed up a little bit? I don't think so, and at least I don't hope that you are being mixed up, but you see that they try to confuse you by the use of big works and complex explanations. This is just a mixing up. One legend has been influenced by the other guy who is supposed to exist. These are doctrines. They are being doctrines set up for the people to believe in and to be divided and to be conquered, so that they debate about their doctrine with each other, but they don't see that actually these people have most probably never existed and are just being used to defend a doctrine. They just keep people getting busy with that. As a philosophical tradition, Pythagoreanism was revived in the 1st century before Christ, giving rise to Neo-Pythagoreanism. The worship of Pythagoras continued in Italy, and as a religious community, Pythagoreans appear to have survived as part or deeply influenced the Bacchic cults and Orphism. We are all speaking about a cult. People are being worshipped because they are so wise. Wise as serpents, huh? But there is no proof that these people have ever existed, except from legends and rumor, most probably, etc. Yeah, we don't have to go into Bacchic cults. I don't think we have to go into this. You see that it's the same thing around with the Romans. Bacchus. What would you expect? Roman festivals of Bacchus based on various ecstatic elements of the Greek Dionysia. So it's just another name. It's just another name. It's everywhere the same. People just said, oh yeah, oh there is a festival, yeah, with drinking and women. Yeah, let's go on. Let's get it on. Bang a gong, get it on. Temple of Jupiter, oh. Formerly the temple of Zeus, oh. Formerly the temple of, let's say, Zoroaster, oh. Formerly the temple of Marduk, oh. It's all the same. It is just an exchange of name, once and for all. So let's skip it here, because you know that there are some mathematical rules which are valid. But there is no proof that this guy actually existed, you see? But the people, the pupils, actually, the people and the pupil, they are learning that in school, that, oh, there was a clever guy in Greece. Once upon a time, there was a little mermaid, and she was so lonely. But they believe fairy tales. When you are educated or indoctrinated by your teacher, we don't need no education, people believe it because they get good grades. Oh yeah, I know who's Pythagoras, yes, and I know the formula. Oh, you get a good grade, great. You will make it in this world. It's the same fairy tale, but on another level. That's a scientific fairy tale. The outcome is correct, but the origin and the root is corrupt. Pythagoras has been credited with discovering that in a right-angled triangle, the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares on the other two sides. I think that's basic geometry here. Yeah, but if he has existed, he had been credited. It is not said that he has invented it. He has just been credited. You see where the problem is? That the problem is that the average guy could not read or write. And so smart people are inventing the legend of smart people. And the ones with the power are the scientific people, the people with the knowledge, or gnosis in Greece. And these were the high priests and scribes. So they are coming up with the exchange of names in the pagan goddess, from Zeus to Jupiter, from Dionysus to Bacchus. and then come up with the inventions of Pythagoreans, Pythagoras, etc. Ancient sources record that's my hypothesis. I cannot prove it, but I think it is much more likely than legend has it or rumor says. Ancient sources record that early Pythagoreans underwent a 5-year initiation period of listening to the teachings in silence. Does that sound like a teaching of mathematics? Pythagoreans were bound by secrets. The home of the Pythagoras was known as the site of mysteries. Need I say more? It's just mysteries. You can go on and on and on and on. As a religious community, Pythagoreans appear to have survived a part of a deeply influence in the Bacchic cults and Orphism. Yeah? Pythagoras and the Pythagoreans, a brief history. Yeah, that's the source of my claim. That's the source here. That's at least one book. Yeah. And one commenter said that, oh, the shaman Pythagoras lives on. Yeah, if he ever existed, huh? If he ever existed. Huh? The Akusmata, translated as oral saying, was the collection of all the sayings of Pythagoras as divine dogma. Brett, you cannot question authority. Dare not to question the teacher or the professed people. So if they say that the earth is billions of times old. Yeah.
Oh boy, what kind of divinity is Pythagoras?
Yes, first of all, he's a legend. After all, then he is claimed to be to have lived. Then he had a school, and at the end, the sayings of his followers are.
Michael, this is what happens when people don't want to read or study anything to do with the Bible or take a look at any of the history of the church or anything like that. You slide right into this.
Yeah, you believe everything because it has been said by an authority.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? You get rewarded for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's rewards, Michael.
Yeah, surely are rewards. You see that 2,000 years ago, when you have believed there was a counter-Earth orbiting a central fire, you would have gotten good grades. Yeah, it depends on where are you living and when are you living and what kind of doctrine is the official doctrine. Yeah, you see, I like to close it down very soon. Yeah, because I just want to say I found that very important to really see that if we are going to Socrates, the philosopher, or if we are going into Aesculap, the so-called physician or doctor or medicus in Latin language, as well as Pythagoras, you say they are only legends and claims. Nothing but. It's all the same, which can come from Greek are just legends. Legends. And that's what people are learning in school, is the worship of these people as at least the demigods. Oh yeah, because the pupils or the followers of these schools, they saw Pythagoras, for example, as a divine cult, as a divine dogma. So don't question the historical importance of the Greeks. I would smell that the Greeks have collected all the occult knowledge in the library of Alexandria. And maybe, just maybe, that's an hypothesis, maybe someone came up to the idea and said, oh, it's not good to have it out in the open. What if a thief would steal all the knowledge which is just to be supposed behind bars or something like that, or in the cellar or what? And so I think that that there was just the general things, but the more profound things there were in temples or in monasteries, etc. Yeah, I think there you would I would look the first, or somewhere hidden. Yeah, but not in the official libraries. Yeah. They combined Pythagoreanism, combined numerology and the superstitious aspects of Pythagoreanism. They combined this with the teachings of Plato's philosophical successors. Does anybody in the school, when they have geometry and they learn the mathematical foundations of Pythagoras, do they have any sense of knowledge about numerology and superstitious aspects of this religious cult of Pythagoreanism? No, it is not being taught in school for obvious reasons. Because they want to know or let the people know that Pythagoras was just a mortal man who was so smart, like Brett said, Albert Einstein. Yeah. So you have the mingling of all these world empires, and you have also three basic pillars of Greek science or gnosis, where the Bible warns us. It's philosophy, it's medicine, and it's mathematics. I think that's quite sufficient with our simple, small Wikipedia study on the Greek Empire, I'd say. We can go on and on and on and on and on, but I just want to point it out that it had absolutely no effect that, that these were the Greek school of philosophy. And if the foundation is incorrect, speaking of, there are numerous gods, there are pagan gods, there are rituals, etc. So if the foundation is wrong or rotten, what do you think are the branches and the trees? The branches and the boss and the leaves of a tree. All the leaves, they look solid. But it's simply poison because it drives the people away from the truth, from the Bible. They take it for granted and they say, oh yeah, I have counted the number of leaves on that tree and I applied the formula and the mathematics cannot fail. But the foundation is incorrect. Yeah? They don't tell you that this knowledge is way older than they teach, and as well the people who have been attributed by this knowledge most likely have never existed. So the knowledge was given by some other authority who has also the power to fake history. If you are in the position to have a world empire, you have the authority to fake history. History is written by the victors. And from an older session, I found, not by accident, but it should be, Science, the New Religion, session 15, Babylon, part 2, I found that Babylonian mathematical tablets show that not only did they use multiplication, but that their system counting was sexagesimal, based on 60, and that they were the first people to use fractions. Their geometry was also advanced enough that they used the so-called Pythagorean theorem long before it was known as such. Despite knowing how the Pythagorean theorem functioned, they never abstracted the method by asking how it worked as the later Greeks did. I think that should end the session and should have a big question mark about everything which is connected with Greece. That when the Babylonian mathematicians also knew how to apply mathematics or their geometry long before the Pythagoreans did, that means that the ideas of Pythagorean existed also in Babylonia. So that is another big hint, in my humble opinion, Brett, that it all was known before and it was handed over then in the Greek Empire and attributed to somebody who has never existed. And on that bombshell, I think we have to close down the session, Brett. I hope it was a little bit of exciting in the last second part. I apologize for the numerous problems in the first half, but I hope it paid off in the end. So let's hope for the best for the next upcoming session. Thank you very much. God bless and Maranatha.
Thank you, Michael. Very interesting topic again in the Science is the new religion script, and here we are, was speaking of Antichrist, and this is essentially, Antichrist doctrine, taking and twisting things so bad that it's basically very difficult for anyone of this mindset being trained in the Pythagorean doctrine, or Pythagorean's doctrine here, to accept the truth that Jesus Christ did come in the flesh, and he did fulfill the old covenant to bring us the new covenant, and that there is a continuity in the scriptures, and that they all do make sense. Or rather, all of these cults and false religions all lead you straight in the opposite direction. So very interesting, Michael. I was gonna read a little bit here, a little scripture again from 1 John chapter 2. I'll go over this again. Verse 18 reads, "Little children, it is last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many antichrists, whereby we know that we know that it is the last time. Who is the liar but that he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ? He is Antichrist that denieth the Father and the Son. And every spirit that confesseth not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is in the world. For many deceivers are entered into the world, who confess not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist." Again, thank you, Michael. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in to our session today. And I wish you all the best, and we'll catch up with you next time. Goodbye and Maranatha.